Welcome to the Lost and Found podcast. I'm your host, Amanda. Join me each week as I rediscover my life's meaning, my passions, and my place in this world after leaving behind the only dream I've ever known. If you're dealing with self-loss, identity changes, career transitions, or you're still trying to figure out your life's purpose, then you're not alone. Join me. Wanderers are always welcome. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the Lost and Found. This is your host, Amanda, and I'm so excited for you to be here today. You are in for a real treat. I am talking to Dani Dyer, local strong woman, Nashville's fittest woman alive. She's beautiful and strong and has amazing blonde hair. She looks like a mermaid. You're going to wish she was your trainer after you hear her story today. She's also a podcaster, author, and personal trainer. She has her own workout app as well, so you can hook up with her virtually or in person, and you're going to hear all about her programs, her life story, and her journey through feeling lost and eventually becoming found as well. So everybody, please welcome Dani Dyer to the show.
Oh, thank you so much, Amanda.
Hey.
That was amazing.
Yes, thank
Great
you.
intro.
Thank you. I'm so glad you're here. You know, we were talking a little bit before the show, and I just kind of could tell, I was like, I'm so glad our mutual friend Justin was able to hook us up because clearly we're going to vibe. When I was learning more about your story, there were so many things I was already connecting to without even getting to talk to you yet. So I was very excited that I get to talk to you. This is going to be a great day.
Love it.
So before we jump into everything that you're doing today, I would really like to take the listeners back. If for anybody that may not know you, we really want to learn a bit more about your story and what you've talked about previously in your own interviews, like living in that vicious cycle of your body image issues and, you know, trying to figure out how do I blend this version of myself and find a better path. So I'd love it if you could talk to us about, you know, those times not eating well, eating well, and then cycling all over again.
Yeah, no, 100%. Movement's always been a part of my life. I was a dancer since the age of 3, competitive dancer as well. And when I was growing up, I just wasn't taught, like I'm from here. And so I wasn't taught really that food mattered. You know what I mean? It was just kind of you eat whatever and then you work out and everything's fine. And when I started having some health issues and stuff, I ended up like putting on like 20 pounds. And it was right at the point of like puberty and just like, you know, the time we're in middle school and high school where you're just like, I don't need any more stress.
Everything's sensitive.
Yes.
You're looking at yourself so much more than you think anybody's actually looking at you.
Exactly. And like, it was just such a horrible time. Right. And so when that happened, I just felt like I felt okay, but it was everyone else's opinions of me that kept like hounding me. I was like, and you can tell yourself every day that like things are fine. But if you hear something long enough, that's why like our word and our speech is so important. Like, because if the negative self-talk, but also from others coming in, if you hear that every day, you start to believe it.
You do.
If someone tells you so many times that the sun is purple, you know, you're like, it's not. And you're like, no, it's not. And then after the 1,000th time, you're like, oh, maybe it is.
Maybe it is purple.
It's a shade of it. Like
somebody asks you what color is the sun and you finally say purple and you're like, wait a second, why did I say that?
Correct. And so that's what started happening. And so I lost myself and I lost my light. And I talk about that in my book a lot because it's like, it was something that I was innately, yes. It was innately in me. You know, I feel like that was from God and it was such a special, beautiful light. And I let other people dim it. And it was really just a sad time for me. I got very depressed and that happened as I went into college. And so I just kind of used alcohol and eating and just the whole deal, what everyone else was doing. And I was like, okay, I'll just go in their path, not my own. And it wasn't until I auditioned to be a group fitness instructor sophomore year at UT Knoxville. And I went in there and I taught the class and whatever. And they were like, yeah, you get a job, $9 an hour. Certified group fitness instructor. And I just fell in love with it. And I was like, I feel safe. I feel good. And I want people to feel beautiful through movement like I do. And I wanted to share that with as many people as I possibly could. And I was like, because in these 4 walls, I'm the sexiest, strongest woman there is.
Right.
When I go out in the real world, I don't get that. I get a lot of hate. I get a lot of this or whatever negativity. But right here for this hour, I'm going to give it my all. I'm going to be my best. And I just started teaching as many classes as possible. And I just fell in love with it. And that really helped me to not sit in kind of the stereotypical societal view of what you should look like and how you should be acting and what you should be doing. And I was like, no, I'm just going to be my healthiest self. Going to kind of stop drinking as much in college. You know what I mean? And just get into that that mindset. So for me, that was kind of when it all kind of shifted.
Yeah. Did you always want to go into fitness, or did you
No.
like, I went into college thinking I was going to be a neuroscientist, and
Oh,
then I went in to work for the FBI. So like that did not,
Wild.
the paths converged quite and merged away quite often. But
Yeah.
what were you thinking when you were in college? Because maybe if you were body conscious, I don't think you'd go in as a freshman wanting to do fitness.
Right. No, I didn't at all. Because I actually had auditioned to go to a dance college, but my parents were like, "You're 17. No, you're not going to New York. You're not going to LA." That just wasn't my path. So I went to UT and I was with some of my friends and things like that. But I went to school for communication studies and hotel restaurant tourism. So I was trying to be an event coordinator, and I still do fitness events. And I just did one at Walk of Fame Park. I do them monthly, and got a huge crowd, and it was so sick. But just to offer free fitness to the community, so as an initiative, and to help people love themselves more throughout their journey. And so basically, when I was in college and stuff, I just that was the path. I was like, okay, I'm gonna be event coordinator and whatever. But when I fell in love with teaching, I was like, yeah, I'm not making any money really from this, but I love it. So maybe I could find a way to make it my career. And so from there, I became a certified personal trainer.
Yeah.
Even though they were like, oh, well, all the women are doing group fitness, you should just stick with that. And I was like, no, I think I should be a personal trainer. And so you got $11 an hour. And so I did that. And then after, when I was sitting there on the couch, and I was like, what am I going to do? I have 2 weeks left on my apartment, right, in college. And I'm like, I don't have a path. All my friends were going to finance. They're going to work at Pepsi. They had
had a job lined up.
Yes. And I didn't. And I'm like, okay, I guess I could work at a gym somewhere, And I was just like, I don't want to do that. So something told me, which I believe that was, God coming through. And I was sitting there on the couch, and something told me, look up overweight, kids camps. And I don't know why. I was like, camp in summer. You know what I mean? And I don't even like kids that much, back in the day.
Well, in the 90s, that was the joke, right? The fat camp movies that would
Yes,
with Ben Stiller and stuff.
But that's like a thing though, but for adults. So for some reason, I was like kids, but I was like, I don't know, I don't really like nature, and I wasn't really a fan of kids at the time. So I'm just like, I don't know. But I look it up, and there's this resort in Vermont, and I'm like, this actually sounds legit. And so they had like an internship program.
Oh, okay.
But when I called them, they basically were like, oh, you're not exercise science major. They said, we only let exercise science majors. I'm like, can I just tell you my story? I was like, I've been body shamed. I've been verbally abused my whole life. I have been, and I've always turned the negative into a positive. I have been fighting for what I want. I am a hard worker. I will learn. I will absorb everything. I will help you guys. Just all these things, right? Tell them my deal. And the lady was like, okay, well, we'll let you know in a couple weeks. And I was like, awesome. Literally, I was in line at a Panera about to get like a bread bowl and a cookie, because I still was like eating just kind of like whatever at the time. And I remember I got the email opened up, and it was like, you've been accepted. And I was just like, let's go. And so literally got in the car, a couple weeks later, my dad and me drove up to New York, and then he got on a plane back. And then I drove the rest of the way to Vermont, and I went up there, and it was an incredible 9-month deal that I got to live for free and just work and just learn from them. And what I learned there was, up in North, everyone was talking about the body positive movement. And so I was like, oh my gosh, let's learn about this. And then there were women talking about anorexia and eating disorders and things that in Tennessee we didn't talk about.
Well, it was always, I remember growing up and being a little bit shamed, not that my parents ever made me feel shameful, but just, you didn't talk about money, you didn't talk about religion, you don't talk about politics, and you definitely don't talk about sex necessarily.
Right.
And whether you're having sex or not having sex. I'm pretty sure, sorry, Dad, but I'm not a virgin. But he's, I'm sure, somewhat still in denial of that's my baby, she's always my baby, but you didn't talk about these things. And I didn't have sex ed stuff personally legit from school until senior year of high school.
Right.
So by that point, you're kind of wasting all that time where you've lost all the ample time to explain things to children, explain what's going on with you.
Right. And that's the thing is, no one really every time I wanted to bring it up, it was always like a harsh situation, and everyone was awkward about it. And I could tell people were talking about me. And I'm like, just say it. If you want to say that I'm not your beauty standard, just say it. I hated the passive aggressiveness, right? So that's why I love going to New York and talking to places. And Vermont was such a place for me, because I'm like, keep it real.
Yeah.
And so I loved that. And so when I was there, I just learned so much. I took into everything. And then I saw the body positive movement coming in, and I was like, I'm not really a fan of that. I don't want to just celebrate our body as is. Right? I don't want to just be like, okay, we can just do whatever and drink all day long and eat cupcakes. That's not what I want. Movement has to be present, because I knew it helped my mental sanity. Yeah. It helped me just thrive in my life. And I have a passion for it and a love for it. So I was like, at this moment, I have to be what if I come back down to Tennessee and I bring that with me? So basically, so loving your body throughout movement is my whole, mission. And so that people can realize, and women especially, that you can feel strong and empowered no matter where you're at,
Right.
as long as you're moving one step forward every day.
I love that. And I think it was really good that you were able to go to a place that challenged your current thought process of what you thought the fitness industry would be about or should be about. And I think it was really good that you kept an open mind, it sounds like, even when you left there too. Like, I'm going to take pieces of this,
Yes.
tweak this,
100%.
or loved that, keeping that. Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's the best.
And how old were you at that point when you came back to Tennessee to start over? Did you get your cert?
Yeah,
after
so
that?
I was already certified personal trainer, group fitness, all that from the time I was like 19. And then I went there, so I would have been 21, I guess, when I
Right
graduated
after
college and
college.
stuff. Yeah.
Okay.
So basically I come back at 22 and then being like, I went to a corporate gym. So I got a job from being in Vermont. So I just like networked as much as I could. CEO of this gym was like, we'll get you a spot in Franklin.
Smart.
You can start training there. So it was, and I really felt good about it, but I come back down and I get hit in the face because they're like, you're gonna have a really hard time personal training here. And I was like, wow, we're right back to it. Like I had this amazing
Same
9
problem.
months. And I'm right back in. It's like for nothing, right? And I was like, no, I'm not gonna let them break me down and whatever. For 6 months, I worked a membership, hated every day of it, but I got to know every single person in that gym, thousands of people, and I taught as many classes as I could. Water aerobics, group fitness, I just would hop in, right? And when they needed subs, and so I got a name for myself there. And after that, I was like, you know what? If I don't have any clients and I fail, who cares? Like I'm still living at home, I'm driving back and forth. Like let's just try it. I had one male client for 3 months, okay, and everyone made fun of me every day. They made fun of me. They're like, wow, how's the old man? And I'm like, he's lovely. Like we have a great time together.
He's living a better life because he does his training.
100%.
Because he moves his body.
Exactly. And he was so great. And basically, as soon as that happened, I started getting creative with things. And basically, I got all my group fitness women to come train with me. And so I ended up being the top salesperson, male or female, in that gym for several months. And finally, I was like, you know what? I can do this on my own. I'm only getting 40%. I'm making them thousands and thousands of dollars every month. I've learned as much as I can. Now let's start my business. So literally 2017, August 1st was when I started Dani Fitness, and haven't looked back ever since.
That's awesome. Were you ever, since you were trying so many different things, did you ever realize like, I really like this particular niche or this particular type of movement? Like some people do thrive as group fitness trainers and then other people thrive as one-on-ones. And then maybe you did a specialty because you also got into bodybuilding as well and strongman competitions and stuff. So how did you pick your niche?
It's been crazy, right? So I didn't really know. So like when I was doing stuff in Franklin, I was running a lot. Like I ran 9.5 marathons, and I ran even in Vermont and even before that in Knoxville when I was in college. And that's how I get to class. And I really found like that was a freeing thing for me, just stress wise, and I just loved it. And so I did that, but I started learning strength training in college, and then I would help with personal training, all that with clients. And so I fell in love with strength training. But the problem that happened is when I came back to Tennessee, I would go to classes and stuff and people would hand me 5-pound weights. And again, let me just say for people listening, like I was not obese, okay, by any means. Like this is not like a story of like that. Like this was just, I have a larger frame body. I've weighed more ever since I was like 10 years old because I've been stacked. I've had the quads, I've had the leg, all this stuff. And I've worked really hard to like
You're built to pick stuff up and put stuff down. Go for it.
So it just didn't look the standard of like what people saw in societal, fitness trainers. And so anyway, so for me, I was like, I know I'm meant to move a lot of weight, but it wasn't until I did this like random competition, Nashville Fit competition, and it was for like outdoor stuff, and I ran sprints, whatever. I got second place by like 1 point, but against this girl that was like a CrossFitter, and I was like, bruh, I didn't even really train for this, and I did a great job. So I saw that there was this trainer there who was applauding his client, and I'm like, man, he seems really cool. Like maybe I'll like reach out to him, and so I reached out to him literally the week later because I was like, I know I could have got first. I'm very competitive. Can you help me out? We start training and he goes, you're really strong. And I said, I thought I was, but everybody here's been handing me 10-pound weights. I was holding like 80-pound dumbbells each arm and walking 60 feet and back with it. And he's like, no, like you don't need 10-pound dumbbells. So I'm like, I know. Right. So anyway, so while I'm training clients and I'm being my own and growing my own business, I was like, I have to have my outlet if I want to be my best for them. So I started working with him, and literally 3 months in, he was like, you should go do the strongman competition. And I thought immediately, is there a weight restriction? Like, am I too big to do it?
Right.
And he was like, no, there's like big.
Be like, you're on the smaller side.
Literally, everyone called me like a spray tan Barbie when I went to compete. I would show up in like booty shorts, spray tan, hair done, nails, whatever, because I have the dance background. Right? And I was like owning
Feel
it.
your best.
Exactly. And so I went to the first competition with him. We both won. So I got first place like out the gate.
Yeah.
Then went to another competition about a month and a half later and qualified for nationals. So I won again. Then I went to nationals, got 15th in the country. Then basically how it works is that everything starts over the next year. So if you don't get like the top like 3 or whatever. So I start out, then won the next competition. And like, so I'm just like winning competition after competition, feeling great, having Strongman Sundays. And I had this outlet and like pulled a truck up Broadway. Just like did some really cool stuff. And then 2019, I flipped a 500-pound tire, which solidified me as like the Nashville strong woman. And that was such a great time because I was going back and forth with this girl. And like, there was like 20 other competitors, but like it was me and her, just
doing that.
Yeah. It was so, we were so good. And like she would win one, I won one. And there's 5 events. So I knew that no one could lift the tire. And I knew I had it in me. And so anyway, so it was this huge moment and it was so great. And I just felt so fulfilled in it. And I'm like, I'm going to go to Arnold. I had all these plans. 2020 hits and I did a competition. And again, I qualified for nationals. My vertebrae shifted forward, crushed my disc, and I couldn't feel my leg for about 3 years. So I had to start completely over. I didn't let go of that dream though for about a year and a half. And I was like, I'm going to keep trying. I kept getting hurt. And I just was like, wow, this is awful. And plus with 2020, just everything that happened. And so 2021 happens and I was like, you know what? I just need a good day. Like I'm 40 pounds heavier than what I was doing strongman. I don't feel my best, but I'm going to find some positive. I just lost my late boyfriend had passed away in October. So I was just like, what was a day that I felt beautiful? And I always try to do positive self-talk no matter what part of life I'm in. And I remember what I was like, what day did I just feel my best? And it was the tire flip. So I put it up on TikTok. Didn't even know how to use TikTok, by the way. So I had like 5 videos and followed 4 people before. This video was like, only woman to lift a 500-pound tire at the competition or whatever. Post it and I go on with my day. I get my hair blown out. I get my spray tan. I'm feeling myself, whatever. And then my phone kept blowing up. I was like, I don't know what's going on, whatever. And I look and it started like thousands of comments.
It's gone viral, yeah.
It went viral. And I was just like, I don't know what to do. And then I'm like talking with Shape Magazine. I got in Shape Magazine. I did an article and I also was the first Shape Squad instructor for Tennessee. So like there's all these things that come about. I'm talking the Brooklyn Nets, like just, it was incredible. And I'm like, oh my gosh, but I'm also like, I have been trying to rehab myself. I still can't feel my leg. I'm in pain every day. And they want me to go do like these incredible things. I need to feel my best. So what I did was I started from like body weight. I just did the PT exercises. I started walking. I was being intentional because I was still working during all of this. Yeah. And I was trying to lift, but I kept hurting myself. And I was like, you got to start over. So that whole humble like hill that I had to take of like, you were the strong woman and now the world is seeing you 50 million views later, seeing you as that. But then like, I'm not that. Talk about imposter. You know what I mean?
And the identity shift of like, I was her because I know that video is me, but I don't feel like her anymore. Correct. How do I get back to her?
Yeah. And so, that was free trauma, free everything. I never lost anybody. I never had a real serious relationship like that. Like there were just so many things that happened. And so what I told myself was, what is something I could do that's not as intense as strongman, but still is competitive? So I got into bodybuilding.
Yeah.
And at first it was great. It was super structured and all these things. And I was just like, let's do it. I did my first 2 shows, crushed it. I felt so positive, you know?
Yeah. Which weight class or like group?
I did, so.
Because I know wellness is relatively new, but
that's what I did. Yeah, that's what I did. Because it was like brand new. Like it was one of the first ones out the gate. So they didn't really know what they wanted. So I had great quads.
Perfect for that.
But my booty, because of the injury too, I could not gain that. It was
one side.
One side was like, it's so like, guys. And so anyway, it's like my booty is like my downfall always apparently. But anyway, it's just so funny. But when you look back, but I did that from 2021, like through that July and into 2024 of July. But then what happened with that was I ended up having an autoimmune disorder because I had some bad coaching from a coach. And so like, I just was dieting for so long. Yeah, and it was just really hard. And so basically now I lost partial vision in my eye. So I have to use a hard contact lens now. So it's one of those things where I've had to repair my hormones now. I had to put on like another 40 pounds and like learn how to do everything differently. Like sleep is a priority now. Like when I was doing bodybuilding, I was sleeping 4 hours a night, training 18 people a day. I was cracked out. Like and it just wasn't healthy. And so everyone was like, we love you, that you're an athlete, you're amazing. But it didn't get me any more clients. It didn't do anything really for my business. Like I was still doing incredible things, but it kind of, again, I started to lose myself and all for this notion of now I look like a societal fitness trainer or whatever. And so I get to have a taste of that. but it still was like empty and it just didn't feel like me. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so I was like, I'm glad that I could do this and I am glad that I could achieve those goals. But really, like, at the cost of my health, it just wasn't, you know what I mean? And these are two extreme sports. So anybody listening, like strongman and bodybuilding is not for everybody. And it shouldn't be even categorized even as like can be healthy. Like it's not. You break down a lot of things. But anyway, but I always look at these moments as it taught me more about myself. And I was like, okay, let's put it back in perspective and let's really focus on what is important. And that's helping other people. And it's helping women feel strong and empowered and letting them know that no matter what life hits you with, like again, not feeling your leg for 3 years and having to like starting from the top and then going back down like that to with my eye. And because that took thousands of dollars of hormonal coaching, help, visits to the doctor, like just to figure out what was wrong and can we fix it? Can we help? Can we mediate it? Like, it was very scary. And I was like, I'm not going to let fear dictate my life. I'm just not. And I'm here to show everybody literally that they can accomplish anything as long as they keep going and they find the one positive. And so for me, it was like, you know what? Maybe my eye has these issues, but like I have a strong body. I can still work out. You know what I mean? Like I can still move. I have a business that's amazing. I have clients that love me, you know? And so again, just finding those positives. And so yes, I stopped doing the bodybuilding in about 2024 around like my birthday, July. And I was just like, okay, I'll start on my health journey to get my hormones back in. And actually it's taught me so much that now the clients that I work with, because I am proficient in hormonal health and all of those and autoimmune disorders and all that, I now have a clientele of women who are trying to get pregnant that don't understand why they can't. And I've been able to help them with that. I help women now with autoimmune disorders, like all these different things that I would have had no idea about and would have been like, oh, like that's hard for you, but like work out. You know what I mean? Like you have to sometimes go through it to really understand, you know, and really be able to empathize with them. And so I feel like I've lived like 20 different lives. You know what I mean?
So true. No, you have though, because I mean, you went from your childhood where you weren't fully educated about, you know, food and movement and like the balance between the two or recovery, right? So like you go into college, balls to the wall, being like, I'm actually good at group fitness, so I'm going to try and do this. And then you go to Vermont, you learn new stuff there too. Then you come back and nobody believes you that you're actually qualified to do any of this. 100%. So then you have to prove it all over again. And then, yeah, you're right. You do get into the extreme sports with like the CrossFit type workouts or powerlifting and all that. But that's not the only form of movement, right, that you can use for your body. And you're so right about the recovery. And I'm sure maybe you have clients that may have scoliosis or like sciatica in their leg too.
Oh,
so
so many.
Now you're very conscientious of like, I hurt my back, so I know exactly what to do. No, well, the form and also just the humility that it really you should have when you're lifting weights. Like,
correct.
It doesn't matter if you start out at 5 pounds. You can build to the 80 like Dani if you want to, but like build correctly and eat correctly to fuel your body. And I feel like, I don't know about you, but I'm sure you see people all the time on the internet or like people are posting or sending out videos or ebooks or digital products of like download this and it'll help you lose 15 pounds in 20 days or whatever it is. There's so much content that came from the body positive swing. And now I feel like it's starting to swing back to, well, because it's body positive, you can have the control over what to do with your body because there's so much information available, but not all information that's available is created equal. So like, if I want to solve this problem, should I really trust to do it all on my own? Or should I try and find a coach and stuff or somebody that can walk me through this too? And then like, I don't know. So like it's so overwhelming. So like what do you do when you're trying to talk to a client or you're approaching someone that might be interested in doing stuff with you? Like how do they learn what's actually useful and what's not?
Yeah, so it's so important that you bring this topic up because it pretty much kills me a little bit every day seeing it because I don't ever compare myself to other people. I don't ever do that because like I said, this is your journey and you should want to feel like you want to look your best, not like someone else. Like I don't ever want my clients to want to look like me. You know what I mean? Like I want them to focus on themselves and what they can accomplish. Yeah. And that is the goal and finding beauty within that. But here's the thing. We are in what is it? Like a mistrust era, right? Where it's like, where misinformation and people just feel like they can't trust anybody. And that's why I try to be as real and authentic on my platforms to be like, I don't have all great days. Like I'm not like, and the whole being motivated type of thing is such nonsense to me. I'm not motivated to do stairs at 5 a.m. every day. You know what I mean? But I do it. And like, you know, and so it's one of those things where I'm like, it's because you build a healthy lifestyle regimen. And that means that like Dani at at this age could do what she's doing right now in 20 years from now, because strength training is strength training.
Yeah.
Yes, you may have more intense strength training, but you can still have your basic strength training as well. So it's finding what works for you. So I have moms that have 4 kids. I got girls that are boss babes and CEOs that travel all the time, like, and they need someone that's going to meet them where they're at.
Yeah.
And I find that not a lot of coaches and trainers do that. And that's what was done for me. And that's where like, I want to be that for other people, because truly feeling like because when you have all these responsibilities and things, and then to add on that you need to be a fitness professional too, like you already take care of your kids, you already do your deal, you have your job, whatever, and now you have to like write your own programs, and now you have to like make your own meals and know what your macros should be. Like, no, you wouldn't do that. You wouldn't like crack your own back as a chiropractor, right? Like,
yeah,
you know what I mean?
They actually recommend not to do that.
So it's just like, there's these things where I think people think that, oh, well, fitness should be easy for me, or why is it hard for me? And that's what a lot of women tell me. They say, why is it so hard for me? I'm like, it's hard for everyone.
Right.
You're just seeing a very small subset on Instagram of certain types of bodies and certain types of people.
Well, and it feeds you what you click on, right? So if you engage with the women that have this particular body type, they're going to feed you all of that. You're not going to see yourself in these images. You're not going to see these journeys.
Exactly. And you know what I learned with bodybuilding is I did seminars for bodybuilders, because there was so much depression and sadness in the bodybuilding community that I would go and talk and do an LYB, like Love Your Body talk, and just try to help them understand. Because do you know how many women I would see come off stage and cry because they didn't win?
I'm sure.
And all of those women looked incredible. Nobody was getting on there like not locked in.
Not prepared.
You see what I'm saying? And so for me, I was like, guys, it's same thing with strongman. I was like, you have to embrace it and enjoy it, because at this point, there's nothing else you can do. It's up to judges who don't know you. They don't care where you came from. They're just looking, whatever. Like, and it's just one of those things where I would be that support backstage and help them, because again, even though people on the outside be like, wow, they must love themselves so much and whatever, they didn't. But what was great about, I already had these tools that I learned, and I really realized during that period of time that, like, again, even being in a smaller body and having 14% body fat, that like literally people, you still can be unhappy and you can still hate the way that you look and feel like it's not good enough. And that's where I was like, this mission truly is for every and anybody, male, female, old, young, all of it, because everyone is getting told you're not good enough. You need to be better. You need to do more. And I'm here to tell people that you are enough. You can be better. Yes. But it's not to be to match or go above somebody else, but to be your best self than wherever you can imagine. And I've been doing that since college. I remember my best friend, Alexis, she said, let's do a vision board. And like, who do you want to look like? And I remember being like, well, I don't even know of anyone that looks like me.
Who is me? Who could I choose from?
There wasn't. I stood out amongst all of my girlfriends. They were all 5'4" and they were smaller or whatever. And I looked different. And so I was like, I have to play on like what I know. And I think that I could be more muscular. I could have less body fat. I could run faster. I could lift more. Like, in looking at those markers. And then I started to find so many beautiful things about myself every day, where I was like, even if I didn't love my arms, I was like, but like today I kind of see a muscle. Or like, oh man, like my quads are popping. Like, and so I really try to tell people that when I talk about my coaching, a lot of it is mindset coaching. A lot of it is changing the perspective. And that is what keeps my clients coming to me for 7 years. You know what I mean? Like, because they're like, look, you've taught me everything. Like, this is great, but like, I want to be around you, because you truly do get it. And you appreciate me no matter what season of life I'm going through. There's no judgment. It's always a safe zone. But I'm not going to sugarcoat things. I keep everything pretty real. And I'm like, if you want to do this, let's do it. Yeah. You know what I mean? But if it's not, then like, that's fine too. I'm here to support in any way you need. And I just feel like a lot of people don't have that.
Well, I feel I've trained with trainers before. I've done my own online apps, because I found a person's page on Instagram. And I just really enjoyed their content, and then they launched their own app, and I'm like, okay, it like COVID hits and you can't go to the gym. So what am I going to do? I need somebody to tell me what to do if I'm just doing body weight stuff in my house. Otherwise I'll just sit there, do crunches, and
you'll do what you want to do.
It's not going to get me anywhere. And I know myself, I always prefer, if I can, time fluctuates, right? So like sometimes I can afford a trainer, sometimes I can't, but I know when I have a trainer, I work so much harder, because they're not letting my mind give out on my body, because usually it's your mind that's telling you, oh, you're tired, oh, you can't pull that weight, or you can't lift that. Like, Because there's definitely a difference between injuring yourself versus you're just having the muscle fatigue.
Correct.
And so like a trainer can always tell me, no, you can do 5 more. And then I'm like, okay. And then I did 5 versus if I'm doing it by myself, I'm like, okay, I did the set of 10 next.
Yeah.
Versus like, no, Amanda, get another weight, do it again. Like,
no, exactly.
Something. So it helps so much to have the camaraderie and like that's the motivation for me. It's like, if I know I have a workout at 6 a.m. with my trainer, I will get up at 5 and do it and get there.
Right.
Like actually, versus I'll look at my alarm go off. I'm going, I could ride the Peloton at 6.
And then you push the day away and then it's like,
I'm so bad at that, but then I will still go to the gym at 9.
Yeah, but hey, you get it in, which is, get your movement, which is great.
Well, I would love to, let's talk a little bit more and deep dive into that a bit, because you did, like in your book here, the Love Your Body Throughout.
Yes.
You do talk a bit about body shaming and that inner critic and how you have dealt with that your whole life too. So I'd love it if we could talk a little bit about like, how did you actually learn to silence the negative self-talk and what was that negative self-talk before you got to that moment, and what's your self-talk now?
That's so great. So I will say this. I was teaching the classes in college, and I remember sitting there. It was a Tuesday, and I literally had went, I guess, the day before and like got a calzone, like a medium-sized pizza. Anyway, so it's like 9 a.m. on a Tuesday, and I start just eating this like pizza. And I'm like, and I remember sitting there, and I would do my my workouts. I would video them on like whatever it was back in the day on my computer. And then I'd watch it back. And I looked at myself, I'm like, who is that? And then I'm also like, you're eating this pizza at 9 a.m. You don't feel good. You want to look stronger. And I was just like, I had some really harsh words with myself. And and that was probably like my rock bottom, I would say, one of them. And I remember being like, let's try to figure this out. And it was asking for support and kind of getting on a program and kind of learning about, okay, let's pick these options, or like, let's get this, and just getting some ideas. And it really did help me. And so I started to clean up my food. Then I got sports nutrition certified. And then I was like, okay, so now I can help my clients with that. That's great. And I even just recently did another certification that was very thorough with nutrition, and just to continually learn more over 14 years of, doing this. I've gotten certifications along the way, but like just trying to really focus on what my body needs and for what season it does. So anyway, but when I got to that point, I just remember being like, you can be better. Like, why are you settling? And I had that talk with myself, and then started changing up everything from there. And I would say that when I was young, it wasn't necessarily my negative self-talk, because I thought I was great. I loved to wear booty shorts and a sports bra, and I had no problem with it. It wasn't until I was 20 pounds heavier that everybody else had a problem with it. So, and then they were like, well, everybody else can eat McDonald's, but you can't. And I'm like, see, that's not where we should be at.
Right.
We all shouldn't have been having McDonald's. No matter.
None of us should have been doing this.
And so no matter what size. So I wanted people to realize that it's not about if you look okay to eat that food versus, because you've seen that online.
Friends that do that. Yeah. They're still super tiny and their metabolism has not caught up with them yet. And I'm like, we're all in our 30s now. Why are you able to eat that? Right. And I would feel like garbage.
And that's some people's just beautiful metabolism. That's great for them.
It is.
But again, it doesn't mean that they're healthy. So again, it doesn't mean they're better than you. It doesn't mean anything. Like, we're all in the same playing field here, right? So we're all trying to be our healthiest self and be our best. And so when it came down to it, like, I started having, like, letting everyone else's opinions dictate my life. And so then I started talking negatively about like what they were saying. I started really listening to it. So it wasn't until I remember I was like 20, I don't know if it's 21 or whatever, but I remember I had wanted to go on this like 11-mile canoe thing or whatever with my friends. And I go on it, but I was on like a 300-calorie diet. No joke. This was something that like my mom got me as a present, like a birthday present. Anyway, you heard me right. So anyway, so this is the thing. And again, and she's my best friend now, but like it was one of those things where she was trying to help. And I remember I was on that canoe, and I had like my tuna and green beans, and I remember passing out, and I was like, oh no. And I was like, if I can't move my body, that's what I'm here to do. Like, that's what I'm put on this earth to do. I believe that. And to do incredible things, right? Through movement. And so when I passed out, I remember being like, absolutely not. I'm done. Like, I have to fuel my body. And like, of course, then that meant like go have Mexican and like turn up, But I was just like, it was just one of those moments where I was like, I'm done with this. So I remember I had kind of a very harsh talk with my mom. And I was like, don't ever talk to me about my body again. Don't bring it up. And it was not the right way to do it. But at that point, after that happened, then it was one of those things where I kind of started feeling liberated and free, that I was like, I'm not going to let anyone else dictate what I should look like, how I should feel, or any of that. And so, when I went to, Vermont, then that built some confidence. I come back, I start working at that gym, and I was like, I'm not going to let any of these people and all their stuff and very Franklin-esque of Williamson County, like bother me. Like, no, I don't need Botox. No, I don't need whatever. Like, and no whatever on that. I just was like, I'm just going to focus on myself and not do what everyone else is doing. And that really started to, I feel like people started to see this light, and that's what gravitated them towards me and the mission.
You can see your authenticity, right? Like they want to work with the trainer that feels genuine and like energy's real. Like I'm not going to sit here and act like I am a expert in explaining auras to anybody. But like your brains communicate actually through all these different brain waves, and that's what it means when you walk into a room and you're like, the vibe is off. Like what's going on? They can tell. They can absolutely tell. You could have, exactly like you said, you could have the perfect body, beautiful face, the nice car, the great house, the cool job, but internally you could feel horrible.
100%.
If you don't love who you are, you're not going to reverberate that vibe out, and people aren't going to be attracted to that.
I saw that every day. And I will say that when I got back from Vermont, and I did this too in college, but really in Vermont, it like really, because there was a behavioral specialist there, and she said that this was important to do, but I was already doing it. So I was like, oh, great, this is awesome. But like taking a sticky note every day and like writing something positive about yourself, like that's what I did. And so she was like, no, this actually helps you to like create new neural pathways and actually start, because like I really do believe that if you sit there and talk to yourself negatively, like you believe it, you become that thing. So think about every conversation with a woman that you've ever had. Okay, everybody listening. Every time, and you'll start picking it out now, they probably mention how uncomfortable they are in their body, or that they look FAT, or they don't look good today, or like, oh, well, like my hair is a little messed up, but like, hope you guys don't care.
Right.
You see what I'm saying?
Oh yeah.
We don't need to say that. It's irrelevant. Like people know your hair's messed up. It's fine. Don't bring it up, But it's one of those things where we do it as like this, to hopefully that people will forgive us for not being perfect and not being whatever. And it's just this negative self-talk. And so I, do with my Love Your Body talks and stuff, I talk to people all the time about changing that narrative and finding what's the one positive that they can find each day. And if they're like, and do you know how many people I talk to and they're like, there's nothing. They have nothing positive to say about themselves. Oof. That happens to me more time than not. And I'm like, guys, eyelashes, nails, let's find something.
Man,
you know what I mean?
It could be so small.
Yeah, your earlobes. Like, I don't care. Like, it's just like whatever you got to do. And again, fake it till you make it. But like, when you start saying these things versus the 3,000 negative times a day you talk about yourself, it will change. So I realized for me, like I started saying those things even more and reinforcing it. And then I started running half marathons, and then I started lifting heavier. And then, and then I became the strong woman. Like there was just so many things that happened because I spoke it into existence of like, I'm going to accomplish these incredible things. And I don't know when. I didn't put timelines on it. I never tell my clients to put timelines on their goals, because that will just like take you off your path so quickly, and you'll lose that passion. And so for me, it was just like, I know that I'm going to have this amazing mission and community someday, but I don't know how. I didn't see a clear path, but I knew that if I kept working hard and talking to myself positively, moving my body, and just embracing it and having these goals, like small goals, I would get there. And so that's what I try to help everyone do now, because like I said, the negative self-talk I just believe it just takes us out.
It does, yeah. And you're totally right. That's cool that you had the behavioral scientist that was there that could talk to you about that. There's a few creators on Instagram that I follow that bring up a lot about the neuroscience studies specifically that talk about the delusional optimism and the positive talk, and like not the toxicity of it, but like the way that you frame your sentences when you talk about yourself is very specific to your brain, because it'll either store that as fact or like a daydream. And so when you store it as fact, the way that you actually need to state it would be like factual, like I have done this thing already. Even if it hasn't actually happened, you just keep saying that in that way. I have a happy marriage, or I am so glad this worked out for me. This job is meant for me. I'm just going through the formalities. Like whatever it is that you're trying to go after, whatever that goal would be, that's how you have to speak to yourself. So I love that you're like reiterating that and you're speaking that into existence for your current clients who might be really stuck in it. I would love to touch back though a little bit on that, where you were talking about, oh my gosh, kind of like I forgot now. You were talking about something about, just like taking over that identity and like kind of letting go of who you used to be, and not really needing to worry about the fact that like I have changed, and like I don't need to okay, I got it now. We're gonna delete this part when you edit this video. Pretend I asked this question correctly. No, you were talking about, oh my god, I just did it again. I hate myself.
You're fine. You're totally fine.
Oh, and here we go. I'm doing the thing exactly like you said, where the women are talking bad. No, but you were Man, we'll get to it. It'll come back to me. I'll interrupt you again and just blurt out the question.
I was just going to say that like with my clients that they don't believe in themselves and they have such low self-esteem.
Yes.
So for me, like all they need is one person to believe in them. All I needed was one person to believe in me. Like, and that was that trainer that I had. And he's a great friend still to this day. But it's one of those things where you just needed that one person to believe you can do it. And that's why, like, again, I'll tell them, like, I won't lie to them, but I'll be like, hey, like, you look really strong today. You look really fit. Like, man, that was awesome. Like, and just them hearing that, they probably have nobody else in their life ever saying those things. So I take what I do so seriously. And like when people ask me, why'd you get into this? You know, whatever. I'm like, this is my life's purpose. Like, I believe that God put me in this body to one, lift crazy things and do all those things, whatever. But like to showcase that you can accomplish anything, no matter what the standard says or looks like or whatever that is.
Yeah. Well, talk a little bit about giving up the timelines, because that is something I definitely, some of the listeners struggle with as well. Because one of the big things that's getting talked about now with the whole millennial career crisis phenomenon that's going on is that people are dealing with timeline grief. Thought by 30, I would have accomplished X, or I was told to go to college, get married, have the kids, I'd be happy, and I'm still not happy. I'll give myself 6 more months, or I'll get a year to do whatever. I know that's separate from bodybuilding because you have to time that out because the competitions are on certain dates. It is what it is. But what happened when you gave up those timelines or those artificial due dates for yourself? And how did your life change after that? Because I know there's so many people that are still holding on to those due dates as if they're the holy grail. And it turns out that may not really be it.
Yeah, it's not it. And also when you do make it to it, you sometimes regret, or you don't feel like it was even what you hyped it up to be. Kind of like your prom.
Right.
Everybody thinks like,
fallacy,
everybody thinks prom was gonna be amazing. I went and I was like, wow, this is it. You know what I mean? Like you hype it up so much and it becomes this idol, right? And so that's why I try to be like, these are just markers, right? These are just benchmarks. And like, I just never really had an idea. So I'll give this example. I was living at my parents' house for, I was like 24, right? Or 22. And then I started my business at 24. I told my clients every day in Franklin, I said, I'm not going to pay to live in Nashville. And they're like, no, you need to get a house. So you need to get a house. And I'm like, guys, I'm not going to pay to live in Nashville. And they just wanted me to be away from, not away from my parents, but like move on and grow up, right?
Do the thing.
I'm 25. You should be out of the house. And I was like, guys, like, I don't even say that. I just sleep there. And then I come and work all day, whatever, and train clients. And I said every day for, I guess it was 5 years, I said every day I'm not going to pay to live in Nashville. Okay. And then literally I get an email from a woman that says, hey, we love what you're doing. This is before my video went viral. This is in 2018 when she reached out. And so I've only had my business for a year. And she says, hey, we love what you're doing. We have this new building coming up. It's called Connect Nashville. And we would love for you to be our female body positive influencer. And there's 4 influencer spots and you're the only female. And I'm like, is this fake? I almost deleted it because I got a lot of spam back in the day. And so she meets me at the gym and I'm like, hey, like, what's up? I'm eating my meal, like just kind of treating her like whatever. And she was like, yeah, no, we want to do this. And like, we would love for you. I was like, what's the catch? She said, we want you to post once a month. And we'll give you a unit that would be $2,200 for free for a year. And I said,
when you say a unit, like your gym?
No, a studio to live as a resident. So, and then I could do whatever I want. I could use the gym, I could do whatever. And it was literally 5-minute walk from the gym that I was training out of. So I was driving from Murfreesboro every day to Nashville and Franklin, And then literally I get this manifested. She just found me on social media and my website is what she said. She found this woman in Chicago and she said, we have one spot for a female and I want it to be you. So I got to move out right after I turned 27. Even with COVID and stuff, they still honored everything. So I moved in I was the first person to live there, moved in during COVID, and it was in July. And so, and then literally was an influencer for them for a year. So that money that I saved, that $28,000 influencership that I got, I used towards my first house. And so then I was able to move out, got my first house, and then now that's my rental property, and now I have my other house that I live in. And so that really set me up for success and helped me so much. But it was awesome, and I just am so grateful for that. But it was literally just showing up, and saying and manifesting every day, I will not pay to live in Nashville. And I didn't have to. You see what I'm saying? And again, you can be like, oh, that's so like whatever. There's other things that have happened too with Shape Magazine. I sent a message to Shape Magazine in 2017, said, hey, Shape, I'm doing the first ever fitness festival in Franklin, Tennessee, which it was. And I did this amazing thing for St. Jude and whatever. And I did multiple fitness festivals. Anyway, long story short, I sent them this message. They never read it. And I was like, one day they're going to see this message. Literally fast forward to my video going viral, 2021. 4 years later, 4 years later, I got to take over the social media as the first Shape Squad instructor. And you know what that
That's so
meant?
fun.
I went in their messages and I opened up the message and I read my message that I sent 4 years ago.
That is so meta. Like, it's
Right?
just like reverse, reverse, reverse.
But it was one of those things where I was
Yeah.
like, they will work with me at some point.
At
I don't
some
know
point.
how, but they will see me.
know.
And they did see me. And they wrote about a beautiful article. This girl named Julia
Mm-hmm.
wrote it for me. And she's basically said about me overcoming body dysmorphia. Because again, I had so many issues growing up with in front of the mirror with dance and how people thought I looked a certain way, but I thought I looked beautiful. And it was it's just battle that I had with myself constantly. And women have that today, right? And I talk about it in my book. I didn't look at myself naked for about 5 years. At all.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I couldn't do it. And, but I continued to fight for myself. I continued to move my body. I continued to sweat. And then finally I was like, just do it. It doesn't matter. Like, it's a body.
Yeah, we're all
like,
gonna die.
It's not that serious. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Again, and really it was just like, I didn't wait till I was a certain weight to, look at myself. I was just like, we got to do it.
Yeah.
And I started, and that was part of the, just part of that growth process. And it just was amazing. And I was like, man, you're accomplishing all these things at whatever weight and whatever body fat. It doesn't matter because your intentions are there and people see that beauty in you. And that's why I want people to get so away from what they think is beautiful and truly like finding their light and feeling beautiful.
I love that. And it really sounds like you're helping people break that shame cycle. Because the idea of just getting rid of all the mirrors in your house, or at least not ever looking at yourself, like a lot of that's rooted in shame and self-worth and again believing what other people told you that you shouldn't dress that way or act that way because no one will think you're attractive. And the ultimate goal for women is still whether or not they have a partner, whether or not they have a man.
If a man if you got their number,
keep a man. And turns out in today's day and age, that ain't all it's cracked up to be.
And men need this too.
They do.
Men, because if you look at
body positivity,
and if you look at the negative sides of the divorce rates and how men are just scrolling constantly, and it's just like whatever they need, it's a lack of self-confidence. And that's why we talked about before this about like you dated a bodybuilder, I dated a bodybuilder, I dated a strongman, I dated a coach, all the things. And every single time at the end of everything, they told me that they hate themselves. They hated their body.
Yeah.
And everybody else would say they're amazing. They're so attractive. They're great. But they hated themselves. And so for me, I was like, well, I'm working on loving myself. And I can't believe that this facade is what I fell in love with. And then I tried to help, try to fix all the things.
Trust me,
And
I've been there.
And it almost cost me everything. And finally, like I said, after, these past few relationships and stuff, it's just one of those things where I learned that no one is going to take me off my path. I am meant for a great purpose. And it has to be somebody who genuinely, I don't care if you don't look the aesthetic and whatever, but as long as you love yourself, I'm here for it. And and men these days, like I said, they don't tell themselves, like, I don't think women tell them enough too, like that, hey, like you look great today. Or like, I don't know. And they don't talk about their feelings. A lot of them don't do therapy. I'm like, red flag. So it's just one of those things where they need to be celebrated too, but not in such it's just your body. Like, wow, like that was really kind of you. Like, wow, that was really amazing. And I think we all just need more kindness and to lift each other up. And what you talked about like the following on social media about you are what you see or whatever.
Yeah.
Again, that's why I tell people when they share my message, when they share a story, when they share a video, that gets to someone and that maybe gets to their mom that has 4 daughters and she's dealing with her own issues and can't, you know what I mean, help her daughter. So like it's a trickling effect. So it's like if you share positive, messages like this, and there are creators like that out there, I'm one of them. But if you continually do that, I believe that we can change the situation. I truly believe that we can change the way society views bodies and how we view each other if we just were to like, again, see more of it. And I can only do so much.
Well, and I think the change always starts with you, right? Like if that whole phrase, be the change you want to see in the world.
Yes.
Like I can't sit here and act like, I'm doing this podcasting thing perfectly, or I'm always, demure,
put together.
All this kind of stuff. It's like, no, the truth is like I flail and, even now just in the recording where I'm like, I'm thinking about a thing and it's like, no, that's not it. Like nothing's ever going to be perfect. But like I've noticed that videos for me on my platforms, or at least when it comes to this show, the episodes that get a lot of the engagement are my solo ones because it's me just being honest about,
I love it.
This is really what's happening right now. And this is kind of the behind the scenes of what's going on with the show and what's happening with me.
Right.
And those are the ones where people are like, I really connected to this because I felt this way last month, or this happened to me years ago and I didn't know how to put it into words. And so I really loved this episode. Those are usually the ones where I'm like, I don't want to talk about this. It's so uncomfortable. I don't want to admit that this is how I really feel, or this is how I really act, or like, this is how this really went down. And it's kind of like, no, that's what people are connecting to.
You stepping out of your comfort zone.
Yeah.
That's what, and that's the biggest thing too, that I had to swallow that pill too, because I didn't want to share what happened with my ex. And I didn't want to share all those things at first. And then I was like, I feel trapped.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to share it, and I'm going to do it and be authentic and real, because that's what I always try to do with my journey. And I've done that. Like, if people made fun of me in college for taking selfies, and then some guy in Australia does it, and it goes viral, right?
It's super special. Yeah.
Right.
Now everybody does it.
Exactly. I've been doing that. So when people are like, oh, you always take photos of yourself in the mirror, I'm like, bro, like, I do that to like celebrate and keep me accountable, even to this day. But I've been doing that for so long. So it's just something that brings me joy and I feel good about.
Now it's your habit. Yeah.
And so, and the thing that I'll tell you this is, when you were talking about like how you, with like me, the reason that you're kind of stumbling or whatever, like sometimes it's like, oh, because you feel like you didn't do a good enough job, or like you're thinking about what I'm thinking about, which I could care less. Because again, you're amazing.
I know. That's why I'm sitting there laughing at myself. Like, you just said, I hate yourself, to the woman that told you stop saying I hate yourself.
Yes. But it's good though, because even just having me present in this conversation, maybe then you'll have that second pause. So you may still say it later on today, but then you'll think about it and be like, shoot.
No, Dani told me not to.
But you see what I'm saying though? And then that changes your, and then you're going to
shift
like,
can happen.
100%.
Yeah. Well, we've talked a little bit about some of your mantras, and one of them is the love your body. And that's what your podcast is, and part of your book, and a lot of your keynote speeches are about that. But you had another one with fight for what you want.
Yes. And both are registered trademarks.
I really love that one. So I'd love to talk about the meaning behind that phrase and how I know it can mean so many different things to so many different people. So for any of the wanderers that are listening right now and they're trying to figure out what they even want or what they should be fighting for, what would you say to them based on that mantra?
Oh yeah. So fight for what you want essentially means setting a goal that is for you, not what other people have told you, right? Because my whole life, people told me to be a certain size, look a certain way, act a certain way, couldn't breathe, right? I felt like I was being choked, and all of high school. And so anyway, so when it comes down to it, like, fight for what you want is you finally feeling liberated to be like, forget what my partner says, forget what whatever says, when my mother, whoever, whatever it was. And what do I want? What do you actually want? Do you want to look super small? Like, do you want that? Okay, then go get it. Like, set the goal. Do you want to run a marathon? Then set the goal. Like, you can accomplish anything that you put your mind to as long as you fight for it. And that is why it's my neon sign in my LYB gym. Like, and everyone sees that every day. I wear it on my wrist every day. I have my 3 mantras, which is fight for what you want, get your movement in, and LYB throughout. Yeah. And so, just, you can look down at it as a reminder. And I wear these every day. And I look at it every day to remind myself, like, hey, like, what do you want to do? Like, who do you want to be? And let's go get it. Like, let's stop waiting to live our life. And even from things like this, I'm single. So for me, even like going to the movies by myself, I do that. I go to dance classes by myself. I do all these things because I lived in such a introverted world for a moment when my autoimmune stuff happened. I had no energy. I couldn't go do things. And I felt super dark, in a dark place. And it was one of those moments where I'm like, you know what? I feel healthy enough. Like, I feel my body's starting to respond again. Hormones are starting to work, like all the things. So like, let's turn up. Let's make a goal to do one thing out of your comfort zone every week, no matter what that is. And so I do that now. And I tell my clients to start with once a month. You know what I mean? Be practical, whatever. Right. But I do it once a week. And whether that's going on a date, whether that's going to a new place, whether that's, dressing up in a different way than I would usually, maybe, like, I just try to be fun with it and make a list of stuff. And it keeps things so exciting, but it keeps me on that whole purpose, like I said, of having those goals and being able to really be like, what do I want to fight for today?
Right. And how is your health now? Because I know you've dealt with a lot throughout the years, but where are you today compared to the injured version of yourself?
Oh yeah. So I can feel my leg today. That's great. Yes, that's awesome. I actually deadlifted this morning, lifted and back squat and Bulgarian split squat, leg press, the whole deal. And it was fantastic. So I don't have any issues really with that. I still have to be mindful. I'm not going to do crazy stuff, whatever. If I want to go run, if I want to go do an event, like, I can do any of it. Dance. I did my dance format in the park, and that was great. But I will say, like, my hormonal stuff, I go and do tests where they like test to see internally, like metabolic function, all of that. And so now over the past 6 months, it's taken me a year and a half, but over this last 6 months has really been the shift. So now I get plenty of sleep. My food is all nutrient dense, which it always was, but now I'm eating enough because I was severely under eating for years. So I know a lot of women listening will say that they do too. So I had to match those macros. But now, like, again, it's such a freeing feeling because I'm starting to lose body fat finally, but it took about a year and a half of like really hard work to see my body start to come down. And I've retained my muscle, which has been great, and I love that. But yeah, I just really am focused on feeling my best and moving my body and getting back to like what this was all about in the beginning, you know? And I still set goals, you know, and I want to go on Survivor for anybody that knows. That's my goal.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
So, on Valentine's Day, I did the Survivor Idol Hunt, which was in Centennial Park. Yeah.
How do you find out? Like, will they let you know?
It's a whole process. You have to apply. I've been applying for 7 years, but here's the thing. Just like I said, that I didn't want to pay to live in Nashville. I have told people I will be on Survivor one day.
Yeah.
It's just one of those things. Yeah, exactly. And again, I don't have a timeline with that because I'm just going to keep working hard, and I know that it will be paid off at some point. But it's God's timing, not mine. You know what I mean? And when it's in my own hands, that things in my life have never worked out when I try to take the reins. Yeah. So I let him just do the deal. And yeah.
I'm seeing how that goes. I love that. I think that's a really good one. So for anybody that maybe be struggling with their body image right now, like maybe they're dealing with what you dealt with, where they fluctuated really quickly and like they either gained a lot or lost a lot, and it's like totally out of their control. Maybe they are trying to eat, they are trying to exercise, and just nothing's working. What would you say to somebody that's, you know, really just they're hating their body because they look in the mirror and they don't recognize themselves anymore. For sure. They don't really know who they are.
I would say let go of the expectations of trying to get back to whoever that was, because that was pre the trauma of what your body has gone through. That's pre hormonal issues. All right. Totally different body. Same thing with pregnancy. Everyone wants to get back to it. I'm like, no, we got a new body. Let's capitalize on it. Okay. So I always try to tell people that, like, again, journaling, a positive self-talk, you know, keeping, like, I also, with this, I would keep your circle small on like who you trust and who you're listening to and taking information in. I know you can talk to 25 different trainers today, but like find one person that you can like lean on and really just give them your all, you know what I mean? And like really do your research on that. But like, and they will work with you to help you to be your best self. But yeah, don't let it, you know, get you down. There's no point in wallowing in it and being depressed about it, because we're eventually going to have to come through. You know what I mean? We're going to eventually have to get to the other side. So you can wait 5 years to do that. That's on you, right? Or you can do it in the next 5 minutes. So even right now, once you're done listening to this podcast, which was awesome, by the way, and thank you for having me.
Honored.
Literally just say something positive about yourself. I don't care, even if it's that you say like, I'm a mom or I'm a hard worker or whatever. It doesn't have to be necessarily about your body, but just give some positivity to yourself. And then you will eventually start to, through movement, start to feel like you can be your best self, you know, and love your body throughout. So
yeah, I love that. Well, Dani, please, you know, you are awesome. I've had so much fun talking to you today. I wish we could go on for longer, but please tell everybody if they want to work with you, if they want to find your book, your podcast, how do they interact? If they want to watch your videos, where are they? You know, let everybody know.
Okay, on all social media platforms, it's Dani Fitness with the number 1. Okay, so DANIDFITNESS 1. You can look on Amazon, How to Love Your Body Throughout, to get my book. It's also on Kindle version as well. Yeah, it's a short read, but it's a self-help book. It's got tools in there. It's going to really help you. So if you are someone that struggled today and you still are struggling, like, please get the book. It'll be amazing. You can DM me on Instagram too. I'll send you a copy. Like, please do. But on Instagram is where I'm most active. But you can join Facebook, and then you can follow on Spotify, the LYB podcast, to listen to my episodes.
Perfect. Wonderful. And I will make sure that all of Dani's stuff is added into the show notes for all the platforms. We're on Spotify, Apple, YouTube. You can watch us there on YouTube. And let us know what you think. Leave some comments. Leave a rating and review. Let us know if you have any questions for Dani, or if you want her to come back. We can do a part 2, and we can fill in all the listener questions just for that. You know how to find us. If you want Dani to come back, let us know. I will bring her back on. We will ask more questions, dig in further into her training. You can find her book everywhere books are sold. Get it on Amazon. Be sure to DM her as well if you have any additional questions. You can always send me an email, hello@podcastforthelost.com. And I'm Podcast for the Lost on all platforms as well. So we'll see you next time. And remember, wanderers are always welcome.